Have you ever felt like you were at a crossroads, feeling anxious and confused? A storm of life's problems, insecurities and disappointments is raging around you. You feel that your shoulders have been overburdened, and sometimes it seems that you simply do not have the strength to keep moving forward. At times like these, many of us tend to give up, shutting ourselves off from the world and trying to hide from all the chaos. But is this the right thing to do? By turning to the wisdom of the ancient Stoics, we learn that the decision to walk away is not a sign of weakness at all, but rather a bold step toward regaining one's energy and finding true happiness. As the great Seneca said, "The inability to concentrate is the greatest enemy of our soul." Great thinkers of the past, such as Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, taught that our true self is not dependent on external circumstances. We are only in control of our thoughts, feelings and actions, and everything else is beyond our control. Today, we will embark on a fascinating journey to understand how walk away can be the greatest force transforming our lives. We will learn that by giving up the unnecessary, we make room for what really matters. By letting go of clutter and emotional overload, we gain the opportunity to know ourselves more deeply and find inner harmony. And by letting go of what gets in our way, we open doors to new possibilities and sources of inspiration. Join this exciting journey on the path of Stoic wisdom. Together we will discover how walking away can transform our lives, unleashing our inner strength and giving us true happiness. Ready to discover this great mystery? Then let's get started. Walk away from toxic relationships. In life, sometimes there are connections that seem like they should bring us joy, but actually destroy us from the inside out. It could be a partner, a family member, or even a close friend whose presence instead of support only causes pain and bewilderment. At times like these, it is important to act. The ancient Stoics taught that we can only control our own judgments, desires and actions, and that external circumstances are beyond our influence. This is especially true when it comes to toxic relationships. They can suck the life force out of us, stifle our freedom, and hinder our development. Seneca, one of the great Stoics, said, "Nothing harms us more than a constant attachment to the same place or people." These words sound a warning. If we continue to cling to destructive ties, we become hostage to our own emotions. Remember how hard it is to break up with a friend who constantly criticizes you and belittles your accomplishments. One day, looking back, you may realize that all those conversations only took away from your self-confidence. Marcus Aurelius also emphasized, "People exist for each other's benefit. Learn to either tolerate them or walk away." We are faced with a choice: either tolerate toxicity or decisively sever those ties. But the Stoics do not call for passivity. They inspire active action based on higher values. Epictetus was emphatic. Do not humiliate yourself for the sake of maintaining relationships that harm your soul. These words sound like a challenge. How often do we sacrifice our well-being for the sake of maintaining connections that bring nothing but suffering? When we say goodbye to a toxic relationship, we are performing an act of self-respect by showing our inner strength. Remember that breaking up may be painful, but it is a step toward independence and living in accordance with our values. It is like releasing a heavy weight you have been unknowingly carrying on your shoulders. Choosing your own well-being is not selfishness, but a necessary measure to preserve your sanity. The most valuable things we have are our judgment and will. Use them to recognize what is harmful to you and decisively get rid of it. Only in this way can you find inner harmony and true freedom. After all, life is too short to waste it on relationships that only drain your energy. It's time to discover your true power and follow the path that leads to true happiness and fulfillment. Walk away from a negative environment. In a world full of chaos and negativity, Stoic principles can be an anchor that keeps us in a harbor of calm and confidence. The ancient sages of school of philosophy have left us an invaluable legacy, showing us how to maintain inner balance despite external circumstances. A key aspect of Stoicism is conscious control over what we let into our minds and who we let into our souls. As the great Marcus Aurelius said, "You must constantly remember that the whole world is one vast stage on which everyone plays his part. Observe those who play badly, but do not forget that it is they who do it, not you." These words remind us of the vital need to maintain our personal integrity by not allowing external storms to throw us off course. Epictetus, on the other hand, wrote that man suffers not because of events, but because of his opinion of them. In other words, our internal dialogues and attitudes play a key role in how we respond to what happens around us, including our interactions with others. That's why it's so important to choose carefully who we let close to us. Those who constantly complain, criticize, and undermine our confidence can do irreparable damage to our psyche. In contrast, supportive and inspiring personalities become a reliable beacon in the raging sea of life. It is better to have few but worthy friends than many detractors. Such people are able to ignite a spark of motivation in us, strengthen our mental balance, and help us maintain clarity of thought. Therefore, following the precepts of the ancient Stoics, we must consciously shape our immediate environment, protecting our inner harmony from destructive influences. In this way, we can gain the true resilience and wisdom needed to overcome any challenge. Walk away from fears and limiting beliefs. Get rid of anything that prevents you from growing and realizing your potential. Each of us has experienced moments when inner fears and doubts stop us on our path to self-actualization. These invisible chains we put on ourselves prevent us from growing and reaching our potential. But what if we possessed the wisdom that could inspire us to make a decisive change? Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic thinkers, argued, "It is not things in themselves that confound people, but the views we have of things." These words challenge our perception of reality. Often we allow our fears and limiting beliefs to rule our lives without realizing that they are just illusions. Think back to when you were once afraid of speaking in public. Your heart is racing, your palms are sweating, and your mind is spinning with thoughts of, "What if I make a mistake? What will people think?" But as soon as you stepped on stage and began to speak, you realized that fear was just a shadow that vanished in the light of confidence. Seneca said, "Something can seem scary until you make the decision to face it. That facing your own fears is the first step toward liberation." Or here's a story about a man who had long dreamed of changing careers, but was afraid to leave his stable job. He thought, "What if I don't succeed? What if I regret it?" But one day, having gathered his courage, he decided to take a step into the unknown. This choice opened up a world of new possibilities for him and led to true fulfillment. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Never assume you know everything." By recognizing our limitations and fears, we can begin to overcome them. The journey of growth and self-discovery requires constant vigilance and introspection. It's like traveling through uncharted terrain. Sometimes you'll have to face storms and obstacles, but it's the only way to discover new horizons. When we stop being afraid of our fears, the doors to unlimited possibilities open wide. Inner freedom and wisdom are truly within our grasp. It's time to start attracting the light that will always be within. Don't allow fears to rule your life. Instead, give yourself permission to grow, learn, and move forward boldly. It is in this movement that true power lies. Walk away from resentment and anger. Imagine that you are on a secluded mountain peak, away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. All around you are majestic cliffs which, like unshakable guards, rise above the abysses. The wind rushing through the gorges seems to whisper ancient truths bequeathed by the sages of the past. It is here, in this silent sanctuary of nature, that you begin to realize how vain and meaningless are those emotions that so often overwhelm us in the hustle and bustle of worldly life. Resentment and anger, like poisonous thorns, pervade our consciousness, poisoning every moment of our existence. The Stoics taught us that we create our own suffering by attaching ourselves to unfulfilled expectations and demands. Marcus Aurelius urged us to become the rock against which the waves crash, unshakable in the face of the vicissitudes of fate. Like these mountain giants, we must learn to transform our emotions into a source of inner strength and peace, for resentment and anger are nothing more than mental garbage that obscures our perception, preventing us from seeing the truth of what is happening. Rather than allowing these destructive feelings to control us, the Stoics urge us to embrace them, to find rational ways to respond. Only in this way can we achieve inner harmony and find true freedom, freedom from the power of our own emotions. Look down at the valleys below. Everything is transient and changeable in this world, but your inner strength, like these mountain giants, can remain unshakable. In the face of adversity, be a rock against which all waves of adversity will crash. Walk away from excessive self-criticism and self-blame. Learn to be kinder to yourself. In a world where constant self-criticism and internal recriminations can become our companions, it is important to remember the wisdom of the Stoics. Their philosophy teaches us not only to accept our shortcomings, but also to treat ourselves with kindness and understanding. Imagine that your life is a journey full of twists and turns and surprises. Every time you stumble, instead of berating yourself, try to look at it as an opportunity for growth. As Marcus Aurelius said, remember that you are dealing with people, not rough objects. These words remind us that we are not static. We are dynamic beings capable of change and growth. Being kind to ourselves is the first step towards self-understanding. Excessive self-criticism can be a powerful obstacle in your path. When you chide yourself, you get stuck in a trap of guilt and shame that only slows you down as you move forward. Epictetus said, "It is better to fail because of a right action than to win because of a wrong one." It's a reminder that mistakes are an integral part of our journey. They teach us, build our character, and help deepen our understanding of life. Self-compassion is not a sign of weakness, but rather a show of strength. When you begin to treat your failures with understanding, you open the door to personal growth. Allow yourself to be vulnerable, learn from your mistakes, and accept them as part of your experience. Stoics call us to self-discovery and self-compassion. Remind yourself that you deserve the same kindness and understanding that you show to others. Every step along the way is a step toward a more balanced and peaceful life. So, instead of exhausting yourself with self-criticism, try being kinder to yourself. Allow yourself to make mistakes, learn, and grow. This is not just the path to inner peace, it is the key to your true potential. Walk away from the past that's holding you back. Let go of all that weighs you down and live in the present. There are times in everyone's life when the dark clouds of the past cloud the sky of the present. We carry around resentments, mistakes, and regrets like heavy rocks in a backpack. But is it worth it when there is a vast horizon of possibilities ahead? Stoic philosophy offers us the key to liberation, the ability to let go. Imagine a man who, despite a tumultuous past, decides to take a step forward. He realizes that his strength is not in remaining captive to memories, but in his ability to live in the present. Stoic sages such as Epictetus asserted, "It is not this that beats you, but your opinion of it." It's as if these words call us to look at our experiences from a different perspective. Instead of dwelling on what was, try asking yourself, what can I learn from this experience? Take, for example, a situation where you suddenly find yourself in trouble at work. Instead of getting stuck in guilt and shame, imagine that this is an opportunity to rethink your goals and try new things. This is how some people find the strength to start their own business, while others discover hobbies they never thought they'd pursue. Marcus Aurelius, the great Stoic, said, "Don't live in the past, don't dream of the future, focus on the present moment." The here and now is not just a phrase, but a true practice. When we learn to appreciate the present moment, we open our eyes to the beauty of the world around us. Every breath, every smile, every spark of joy becomes precious when we stop clinging to what we can no longer get back. Letting go of the past means taking responsibility for your life. It requires courage, self-discovery, and a willingness to accept ourselves as we are. Don't let the past become a chain that binds you. Instead, use it as a stepping stone to something greater. Let every moment of your life be a new beginning. Work on yourself. Learn to forgive both others and yourself. As you unburden yourself, you open the door to inner freedom and wisdom. Live in the present, and let each day bring you something new and valuable. Walk away from dependence on the opinions of others. Learn to be independent in your judgments and decisions. What does it mean to be free? For many, it's a feeling of ease where you don't have to look back at the opinions of others. Dependence on other people's assessments can turn into a dark labyrinth from which it is difficult to get out. But just take a step towards inner independence, and the world will appear in new colors. Stoics like Epictetus taught us one important truth. A man is happy not because he has what he wants, but because he does not need what he does not have. It's as if you find the strength to do what you love, despite criticism. For example, imagine that you are passionate about drawing. Your friends don't understand it and say it's a waste of time. If you give in to their opinions and give up your hobby, you will lose not only your hobby, but also your source of joy. When we constantly seek approval, we lose the ability to form our own judgments. Think of a situation where you had to make an important decision, choosing a career, moving, or starting a new hobby. If you are only guided by the opinions of others, how can you hope to make a truly good decision for yourself? Every time you allow other people's voices to overshadow your own, you detach yourself from your true nature. Imagine a man who decides to start his own business. He is enthusiastic, but his friends and family don't believe in his idea. Instead of following his dreams, he begins to doubt himself. But if he had stayed true to his beliefs, perhaps his project would have been successful and inspired many. By developing inner independence, you gain confidence in your actions. You begin to make decisions based on your own values and desires rather than fear of judgment. This does not mean that you should ignore the opinions of others altogether. Rather, it's important to be able to listen, but not let other people's opinions define your life. So if you feel like you're depending on the opinions of others, take a step back. Ask yourself, what is really important to me? Allow yourself to be free in your judgments and actions. In this freedom lies the true path to fulfillment and happiness. Confidence in ourselves and our decisions is what makes us truly independent. Walk away from the pursuit of constant control. Learn to embrace uncertainty and respond flexibly to change. In our quest to control everything and everyone, we often forget that life is not always a precisely designed route. On the contrary, it is like a winding river full of surprises and twists and turns. Stoic philosophy offers us a valuable reminder. The only things we can really control are our thoughts, emotions, and actions. Imagine a situation. You are planning an important meeting that could change your career. You prepare, think through every word, and suddenly cancel. What do? You can panic and start looking for someone to blame, or you can take it as a lesson. Seneca said, "There is no thing that cannot happen." This means that life is full of surprises, and we need to learn to accept them with an open mind. Instead of wasting time worrying about things that are out of your control, try to focus on what you can change. For example, instead of wasting energy on regrets, think, how can I use this time to my advantage? Perhaps you should engage in self-improvement or prepare for the next opportunity. Epictetus taught, it is not events that disturb people, but their opinions about events. This opens us up to choosing our reaction to what happens. Uncertainty, rather than being a source of stress, can be a powerful catalyst for growth and adaptation. Think of athletes who are preparing for a competition. Even the most careful plans can be ruined by unforeseen circumstances, injuries, weather changes, or unexpected results. Successful athletes learn to respond to these changes with flexibility, using them as opportunities to improve their strategy. Marcus Aurelius said, "Accept everything that happens to you as if it were your own wish." This approach helps us see even the most difficult moments as part of a bigger plan. Instead of fighting reality, we can find meaning in it and focus our energy on what is truly up to us. Thus, embracing uncertainty and learning to adapt to change are keys to inner peace and happiness. Instead of trying to control everything around you, focus on what you can change and learn to accept life as it is. In this wisdom lies true freedom. Walk away from an excessive tendency to analyze, learn to act intuitively, and trust your inner wisdom. In our world full of choices and possibilities, sometimes we get stuck in an endless cycle of thinking. Every step seems important, and we start weighing the pros and cons as if our lives are on the line. But what if sometimes it's better to just trust our intuition and act? Stoic philosophy offers us wisdom that can free us from this burden. Epictetus, for example, argued, "Do not ponder without measure, but as soon as reason tells you what to do, proceed immediately to action." These words remind us that over-reflection often prevents us from responding to life's changes. Imagine you are planning a vacation. You vacillate between the mountains and the sea, thinking about every nuance, what weather to choose, what adventures await you. But as a result, you spend more time analyzing than enjoying the moment. In this case, a Stoic would listen to his intuition, which perhaps quietly suggests, "I want fresh air and mountain scenery." Why not trust that feeling and start packing? Marcus Aurelius also warned against overanalyzing. Do not waste time on fruitless reflection. You will not live forever. This thought encourages us to reflect on how often we miss moments of happiness because of hesitation and doubt. Every moment is a chance that can be missed if we hesitate too long. Think about how many successful people make decisions. They don't always analyze every detail, but rather trust their intuition. For example, a successful entrepreneur may launch a project by relying on his feelings rather than complex calculations. He knows that sometimes instincts can lead to unexpected but successful results. Seneca adds his own note. Nature has given us the seeds of all knowledge, but it is up to us to develop them. This means that we already have all the tools to make the right decisions. The main thing is to learn to trust them and not be afraid to act. Thus, Stoic philosophy urges us to move away from excessive rational analysis and develop trust in our intuition. This does not mean that we should abandon reason altogether. Rather, it is about finding harmony between intuitive and analytical approaches. Allow yourself to act sometimes, even if you don't have complete confidence. That is what true freedom is all about. Walk away from attachment to certain roles and identities. In life, we often wear masks. The roles we play, whether it's professional status, family responsibilities, or even societal expectations. But what if I told you that true freedom lies in the ability to shed these masks and be willing to be transformed? Stoic philosophy teaches us that identity is not something fixed, but something fluid and changeable. Epictetus said, "You are not the role you play, but the person who plays it." This thought reminds us that we are more than just our social attributes. We are our inner world, our feelings and aspirations. Imagine a man who works for many years in the same company, gradually earning status and respect. He may begin to identify with this role, feeling that success in his career defines his personality. But suddenly he decides to change careers and ventures into an entirely new field. Along the way, he has to redefine who he is and find new ways to express himself. Instead of clinging to his old identity, the Stoic will embrace the change as an opportunity for growth. Or take another person who considered himself a bachelor for a long time. He enjoyed freedom and independence until he met his other half. The decision to marry challenges him to reevaluate his perception of himself. The Stoic approach here is not to fear change, but rather to open up to new facets of one's self that may emerge in new circumstances. As Seneca said, changeability is a quality inherent in all things. This emphasizes that change is not something scary, but a natural process that helps us evolve. Rather than seeing transformation as a threat, we can see it as an opportunity to become fuller and more multifaceted individuals. Stoic philosophy encourages us not to become attached to certain roles and identities. This allows us to remain flexible, open to new experiences, and constant self-development. So let us learn to let go of old masks and welcome each new stage of our journey with joy. After all, this is what true life is all about: endless movement and rediscovery. Walk away from being fixated on past hurts. Forgive yourself and others to free yourself from the weight of the past. There are times in everyone's life when resentments and disappointments begin to eclipse the light of the present. We carry the weight of the past around with us like a heavy bag full of rocks. But what if I told you that release from this burden is possible? Stoic philosophy offers us a powerful remedy: forgiveness. Epictetus said, "Things in themselves do not cause us suffering, but only our judgments about them." This simple but profound truth reminds us that pain and resentment do not arise from events, but from our perception of what happened. Imagine a person who holds a grudge against a former partner for years for betraying him. Every time he thinks about it, his heart fills with anger and his mind with dark thoughts. But in the end, the more he dwells on past hurts, the harder it is for him to move forward and build a new, healthy relationship. The Stoic approach here implies that forgiveness is not just an act of kindness to others, but an important step toward freeing oneself. Or here's another story. A man loses his job because of unfair dismissal. Instead of spending years being angry with his former boss, he decides to accept what has happened. Instead, he starts looking for new opportunities, perhaps discovering a new profession or even starting his own business. This choice is not just a reaction to the situation, but a manifestation of inner strength. Marcus Aurelius emphasized, "If you have been wronged, remember that wronging is a choice you can choose not to do." We can always decide whether we will be victimized by circumstances or maintain our inner freedom and peace of mind. It's like standing on the ocean and the waves are trying to knock you down. You can choose how to react, give in to the flow, or stand your ground. Seneca said, "Forgiveness is a gift we give ourselves." When we release the weight of resentment, We not only get rid of the burden, but we open the door to the new. Forgiveness is an act of self-respect and self-healing that allows us to move on. In conclusion, Stoic philosophy urges us not to dwell on past wrongs. Let us find the strength to forgive, both ourselves and others. In this way, we can truly free ourselves from the shackles of the past and open ourselves to new possibilities in the present. After all, life goes on, and it is full of amazing discoveries waiting around the corner. In our lives, we are often confronted with situations that are beyond our control. The Stoics teach us that true happiness and wisdom lie in the ability to distinguish between what is in our hands and what is beyond our control. Walking away from what we cannot change becomes not only an act of wisdom, but also a source of inner peace. By accepting the immutability of certain circumstances, we are freed from unnecessary stress and anxiety. This mindfulness makes us stronger, allowing us to focus on what is truly important. Walking away from the unnecessary does not mean passivity or despair, but rather a manifestation of our strength and wisdom. As we strive for harmony with ourselves and the world around us, we gain inner peace and self-confidence. Stoic wisdom teaches us to appreciate the moment, accept the inevitable, and move forward with dignity. In this way, walking away from what we don't need becomes not just a survival strategy, but a path to a conscious and free life based on wisdom and inner strength. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss new videos. Remember that self-development is an ongoing process that requires awareness, effort, and a constant drive to do better. Invest in yourself, learn new things, grow on yourself, and you'll be surprised how strong and wise your inner world can become. Thank you for your attention and see you soon.